The pyramid is upside down. South Africa doesn't have a poverty problem. It has a perception problem. We have been brainwashed to believe that wealth only exists at the top, in skyscrapers, in boardrooms, in foreign investment portfolios. We have been trained to chase suit and tie respectability as if dignity can only be found in degrees, grants, or government posts. Meanwhile, a quiet revolution has been taking place beneath our noses, not in the headlines, not in the halls of parliament, but in the streets, townships, villages, and corners where real people are building real value with their bare hands. This is the story of those people, the builders at the base of the pyramid. They are not poor. They are not helpless. They are not waiting for handouts. They are the overlooked entrepreneurs of survival. The tire fixer at the taxi rank. The woman mixing herbal balm in her backyard. The shoe restorer sending sneakers across borders using TikTok and WhatsApp. These are not anomalies. They are the foundation of the South African economy. Ignored by economists, exploited by politicians, and yet still standing. If the wealth of this country were measured not in rands, but in resilience, creativity, and grit, the bottom of the pyramid would be the gold standard. But here's the tragedy. The national narrative doesn't see them. Government sees them as statistics. Banks see them as risk. Academics call them informal. Even policy treats them like a footnote. HUD, when they should be the forward. We've spent decades trying to uplift the poor without realizing they were already lifting themselves. They didn't need help. They needed us to get out of the way. What this book is not, this is not a pity parade. This is not an academic case study. This is not a government report filled with jargon and strategic frameworks. This is a manifesto, a reframing, a megaphone for the working class wisdom that already knows how to build, but has been blocked, mocked, and misunderstood. It is time to flip the pyramid, to recenter our attention, our policy, and our cultural respect to where the actual value creation is happening. Because the bottom is not broken. It is brimming with untapped fortune, economic, cultural, spiritual, and strategic. Why this book matters? Now South Africa is in crisis. Economically, spiritually, and socially, unemployment is sky high. Youth are idle. Dependency is normalized. And the ruling party continues to dangle promises like carrots in front of people who are hungry for real work, not slogans. At the same time, the bottom is already building, quietly, steadily, without cameras or fanfare. This book brings that word to the surface. It tells the stories behind the stall, the wisdom behind the welding torch, the dignity behind the hustle. C.K. Prahalad, the late Indian business thinker, once said, "There is fortune at the bottom of the pyramid." But he wasn't talking about just profit. He was talking about innovation, about the raw creativity that flourishes when people are left with nothing but the will to solve problems. This book proves that truth, not in theory, but in lived, local, street-forged experience. Who this book is for? For entrepreneurs, it's a field manual. For policymakers, it's a wake-up call. For ordinary South Africans, it's a mirror. For global readers, it's a lesson in grassroots genius. And for the young person reading this from a shack, a township, or a broken home, wondering if their life matters, this book is a loud, defiant yes, final word. A code is rising the peoples. Prosperity code. This book's deeper heartbeat is not a program. It's a philosophy of agency, a new way of seeing dignity, wealth, and power. It's Ubuntu reborn in the hands of welders, tailors, herbalists, and hustlers. So before you dismiss the street trader as informal, before you look down on the guy fixing tires in the sun, before you laugh at the woman pushing soap door to door, remember, this country's true economy is not in Sandton. It's at the taxi rank. The pyramid has always been upside down. It's time we turned it right side up. And we are here to tell this story of the people's capitalism, away from Karl Marx fantasies of the ruling party. And so we begin. How do we begin? Let me take you to Bangladesh. Yes, Bangladesh, the country bordering India. Let us go there. Bangladesh. From backyard textiles to global giant. How a broken nation stitched its way to the top in the early 1970s, Bangladesh was dismissed as a basket case. That was the exact term used by economists and aid agencies. Floods, famine, Political chaos, war-torn, starving. They said Bangladesh would never stand. Too poor, too disorganized, too broken. But they were wrong, because while the world saw a beggar, Bangladesh saw a factory. And it began in the backyards of the people. Today, Bangladesh is the second largest garment exporter on earth, just behind China. It produces clothes for H&M, Zara, Nike, Walmart, and the GDP from textiles alone lifts millions out of poverty. But here's the real miracle. They did it without oil, without gold, without land redistribution, without political theater, just sewing machines, mothers, side streets, and sweat. The revolution was not televised. It was stitched. This transformation didn't start in presidential speeches. It started with women sewing in tiny rooms, fixing old machines, sharing patterns, learning fast. They didn't wait for Harvard professors. They created systems on their own, by necessity. Neighbors became co-workers. Family rooms became workshops. Orders were taken on foot. Distribution was done by bus, and before long, factories began forming out of backyard ambition. One then, 10, then thousands. Lessons for South Africa. Sweat is strategy. Bangladesh didn't get here through miracle. They got here through mindset. Start where you are. They didn't wait for ideal conditions. They began where it was hot, humid, cramped, and chaotic, and turned that into capacity. Use what you have. Instead of importing machines, they fixed broken ones. Instead of importing skills, they trained fast, on the job, woman to woman. Build for the world, not just for the neighborhood. Even small tailors asked, can I export this? Can I sell to the West? And then they figured it out. Involved the whole household. Children cut thread. Fathers delivered. Grandmothers did quality checks. It wasn't a job. It was survival turned enterprise. Scale with honor, not hype. No overbranding. No viral campaigns. Just volume, value, and discipline. While Africa was protesting, Bangladesh was producing. This is not to diminish our struggles. But we must ask, what were we doing while Bangladesh was building? We had slogans. They had sewing machines. We had policy summits. They had backyard sweatshops. We had marching orders. They had shipping orders. They didn't wait for utopia. They used needle, thread, and hunger. And now their youth don't sit on corners dreaming of Dubai. They run workshops supplying Dubai. The silent genius of the unseen. Worker behind every success story in Bangladesh is a nameless woman who worked with fire in her belly. She didn't speak English. She didn't finish school. But she sold 300 garments a day. She fed 3 kids. And she helped build a billion-dollar economy. You want economic freedom? Study her. You want transformation? Emulate her. You want to build a new South Africa? Learn from the back, not the top. South Africa's tailors are waiting. In every township in South Africa, there's a tailor, a seamstress, a bead worker, a textile wizard. But what's missing is belief and platform. What if we connected them to global orders? What if every township had a garment district like Bangladesh? What if we stopped mocking sewing as woman's, our work, and started calling it what it is? Industrial strategy. This is not just a trade. It's a future. It's a chance to turn our 350 outfits into our 350,000 income over time. Scaled, digitized, and exported. Final word, needles over narratives Bangladesh. Taught us a brutal truth. The world rewards the producer, not the protester. It feeds the seller, not the striker. It opens doors to those who show up with products, not placards. This is not about shame. It's about awakening. Bangladesh was written off. So are we, but they sewed themselves into the global story. Now, it's our turn. We don't need more chants. We need machines, mentorship, markets, and movement. And above all, we need to believe. What we do in a backyard can shape the future of a nation. I took you to Bangladesh to school you and educate you on how wealth is built, how pathways and escape from poverty are created, not by looking at government, the ruling party poisoning your mind with slogans like expropriation of land without compensation, telling you that you are suffering because of white monopoly capital. You need to cut ties with such communist nonsense from Karl Marx. Now let me take you to India. I am touring the East with you. Do not worry. You all are safe and secure under my leadership of you. And so we arrive in India. In India, technology is not complicated. It's not mystical. It's not the preserve of geniuses in glass towers. It's fish and chips. Every second Indian knows how to code like it's flipping samosas. They talk Python the way township kids talk soccer. Tech to them is just another trade, a tool, a means, not magic. They don't complicate it. They master it. They multiply it. And here's the kicker. Most of them didn't wait for government funding. They didn't ask permission. They didn't organize marches demanding inclusion in the digital economy. They logged on. They studied online now with secondhand phones, with power cuts, with 4 a.m. internet cafes. They cracked Java like peanuts. They turned cyber cafes into classrooms and one-room apartments into call centers. You visit Bangalore today, you'd swear you're in Silicon Valley, but with more spice and no begging. Meanwhile, in Black South Africa, we're still looking to Father God, ANC to bless us. Still chanting Amandla while the world is moving in code. Still thinking broadband is for whites. Still outsourcing our dignity to the same party that outsourced Escom's spine. Instead of uploading software, we're uploading struggle songs. Instead of developing apps, we're developing new slogans. Instead of booting operating systems, we're bootlicking cadres. This is not just a digital gap. It's a dignity gap. It's a refusal to believe that mastery is black. Let's call it out. The average Black South African child has better access to tech than the Indian kid in a village, but the Indian kid uses it. He sells websites to the West. He does remote coding for a German company. He learns AI with YouTube videos. While we still wait for NSFAS to maybe approve a course. The truth? ANC is not your software. Struggle is not your operating system. And Julius is not your upgrade. You are your upgrade. Indians took information technology and cooked it down to its bones. They eat it with rice. They send their kids into it like it's a family trade. Coding is their new curry, while Black South Africans are still waiting for Father ANC to feed them, to free them, to forgive them for dreaming beyond handouts. It's time to delete the dependency virus. Time to uninstall the old thinking. Time to stop fearing tech and start feeding off it. Because while we're waiting for tenders, they're exporting Python. While we're in line for jobs, they're freelancing in 5 currencies. Wow. We mourn apartheid. They're monetizing WhatsApp groups. Final word. You don't need a degree to dominate tech. You need curiosity, courage, and commitment. India proved it. Fish and chips turned into code and commerce. And now it's South Africa's turn. Not through a struggle committee, but through self-study, sweat, and soul. Because the future is not waiting for you to feel included. It's waiting for you to log in. It's the moment we stop pointing fingers and start moving our hands. It's the shift from victimhood to vision, from dependency to design, from political slogans to personal solutions. You've been taught that because of apartheid, nothing is your fault. But if nothing is your fault, then nothing is your responsibility. That's how they trap you. Yes, you know what I just said. Black South Africans have been made to believe our only chance at success lies in taking what someone else has built. For years, political leaders have filled our heads with slogans. Take the land, expropriate without compensation, kill the Boer. And so our people's energy, instead of being used to build businesses, solve problems, and unlock new ideas, has been locked up in the fantasy of revenge. We're chasing diamonds elsewhere while standing on our own, untapped, unexplored, unworked treasure, because the moment you believe you're a permanent victim, you stop trying to become a victor. They scream about land, so you don't ask them why they failed in service delivery. They chant kill the Boer, so you don't ask why youth unemployment is 60%. They want you angry, but not awake, because an awake citizen builds, doesn't beg. An awake citizen creates, doesn't complain. Hating what someone else has doesn't make you rich. It just makes you bitter, broke, and blind to your own potential. You can't eat expropriation, but you can eat the results of your own hustle. For decades, the energy of our people has been locked up in the wrong fight. Instead of building, we were told to blame. Instead of creating, we were trained to complain. And instead of unlocking the genius within, we were hypnotized into believing the only path to success is taking from the Afrikaner. Our political leaders turned us into spectators of hate. chanting, marching, threatening expropriation, as if our destiny is buried in another man's farm, another man's business, another man's bank account. It's a lie. The real tragedy is that we forgot we could do our own thing. That the gold is in our heads, not under the soil. That true wealth isn't stolen. It's built. Not with a gun, not with a grant, but with grit, skill, time, and vision. The People's Prosperity Code is a battle cry. Not for war, but for work. Not for slogans, but for sweat. Not for rebellion, but for responsibility. We do not reject capitalism. We reclaim it with a conscience, with care, and with community. We say to every South African, stop waiting, start building. Prosperity is not for the few. It is the code of the people. We believe that the greatest untapped wealth in South Africa is not in mines, subsidies, or foreign investment. It is in the minds, hands, and hearts of everyday people, especially those from the townships, rural areas, and informal settlements. We do not need a revolution of guns. We need a revolution of grit. Communism is not care. It's a cage. It doesn't uplift the poor. It uses them. It doesn't build families. It breaks them, replacing fathers with food parcels and mothers with slogans. It doesn't teach people to rise. It trains them to wait. It doesn't free the soul. It shackles it to party colors. The ANC sold this cage as compassion. But what they called a better life for all was just a better grip on power. They replaced the entrepreneurial fire of black South Africans with dependency. They replaced tribal dignity with political obedience. They replaced the wisdom of our ancestors with the ghost of Karl Marx, a man who never set foot on African soil. The Indian with one banana. How cultural discipline turns scarcity into strategy. There's a saying in many African households, an Indian becomes rich with just one banana. It's not mockery, it's respect, admiration. It's the streets' way of saying they see what we don't. They do what we don't. They don't waste, they don't rush, they don't pretend, they build. While others talk of transformation, they transform corners into empires. While others chase B funding, they build from R5 up. While others march for land, they rent small shops and create land value by trading. This isn't magic. It's mentality. The banana is not the business. It's the beginning, that one banana. It's a symbol. It represents starting with what you have, selling what others ignore, turning low margins into high consistency, reinvesting before showing off, mastering the small before scaling up. An Indian trader doesn't need 50 bananas. They need one, and the ability to make it work every day for years. That banana becomes a table. The table becomes a fruit stall. The stall becomes a store. The store becomes a chain. And before you know it, the guy who sold fruit at the Robots owns half the block. Lessons from the banana. Let's unpack the real wealth code hidden in that banana. Discipline over drama. No time for image. No space for laziness. They work. They serve. They show up. No long meetings about economic injustice. Just hustle. Family and staff, not burden. From young age, the kids learn margins, customer care, stock taking. Business is not a job. It's the family backbone. Capital isn't borrowed. It's inherited from sweat. Small wins, long games. They know that R3 profit today, compounded daily, beats R30,000 of unfunded dreams. They don't go viral. They go deep. Day after day, month after month, quiet, steady, relentless. Customer service as strategy, a greeting, a memory, a gesture. Not manipulation, just human economics. They don't just sell, they anchor trust. The African confession. Let's admit it, we saw the same banana, but we threw it. And we waited for funding. We wanted the flashy brand first. We mocked the R1 profit. We thought starting small was shameful. And while we laughed, they launched. Wow. We waited for government. They became government in their own shops. This chapter isn't about glorifying one race. It's about extracting the hidden blueprint of those who mastered the bottom of the pyramid without slogans or savings. They didn't just survive apartheid, they out-traded it. And today they're still out-trading everyone else. What the Indian trader knows that we forgot they know. People don't need luxury. They need reliability. Business is not always about invention. It's about consistency. You don't need to own the building. You need to own the trust. You don't need loans. You need rotation, reuse, reinvestment. They didn't build malls. They built margins. They didn't cry about capital. They multiplied coin and it worked. Final word, be the banana builder. So what must we do? Don't wait for big capital. Start small. Perfect small. Don't fake success. Build substance. Don't copy the noise. Study the moves. Don't shame the small hustle. Sharpen it. Expand it. The Indian with one banana teaches us, you don't need everything to start something. You just need eyes to see value, hands that are not afraid of work, and a spirit that doesn't complain when it can create. In every township, on every corner, someone is holding a banana. The question is, will you eat it or multiply it? The height of stupidity, when a people stop digging and start dreaming upward only. Let's be blunt, the general outlook of Black South Africans today is the height of stupidity. Yes, it's a harsh statement, but it must be said, because sometimes love must shout to wake a brother up. We have become a people who look up at the stars and ignore the soil beneath our feet. We fantasize about what others have built while spitting on the tools that lie at our feet. We want ShopRite money, but refuse to ask, how did ShopRite begin? It began in a humble house in the Western Cape, a single store in 1979 bought by Whitey Basson, a man who did not wait for a government tender, but turned every cent into structure. But the average South African doesn't study origins. They worship outcomes. We see flash, not foundation. We see the billionaire Indian with a warehouse. We don't see his grandfather pushing bananas in a cart, waking up at 4 a.m., saving every coin. We see the white man with a logistics company. We don't see the 10 years he spent missing family dinners, skipping weekends, sleeping 4 hours, and reinvesting every profit. We see the storefront, the car, the bricks. But we are too lazy to ask, what did it take to get there? Instead, we tell ourselves bedtime stories. They have this because apartheid favored them. White monopoly capital gave them advantage. The system is rigged. These are not explanations. They are excuses for mental laziness. We want results without roots. We want to own land but not dig it. We want to drive BMWs but can't run. A side hustle. We want to influence policy but can't wake up before 9 a.m. We talk of economic justice while buying clothes on credit and blaming whites for our overdrafts. Let's say it clearly. You cannot be angry at a man who works while you sleep. You cannot be jealous of a man who read books while you gossiped. You cannot curse capitalism while begging for data to upload your latest TikTok dance. That is not injustice. That is stupidity, baptized in entitlement. We blame the builders instead of becoming them white monopoly capital. You mean the same men who eat pap in boardrooms, wear old shirts, and don't change cars for 15 years because they're scaling a logistics network. Indian privilege? You mean the man who lives behind his shop, sells airtime at midnight, and teaches his daughter to read stock sheets before bedtime? No, you don't hate capital. You hate discipline. You hate process. You hate waiting. You hate working without being seen. And that's why you'll keep buying data to watch other people's success. Comfort is the curse that has killed us. We don't hustle. We hang around. We don't serve customers. We sulk when they're rude. We don't build brands. We copy others and cry when it fails. We don't want the pain, just the shine. And when someone rises, they must be a front. They're connected. White people helped him. Never. He worked. He learned. He built. Wake up or stay broke forever. The revolution isn't in slogans. It's in sweat. It's in starting now. It's in shutting up and building something until it speaks for itself. Look down, not up. There's work under your feet. There's gold in your hands. There's a ShopRite in your shack. If you stop fantasizing and start franchising your idea. Final word. The ground is rich, but the mind is poor. Don't look at the rich man. Study him. Don't envy the Indian. Emulate him. Don't chant, channel. Don't protest. Produce. The black outlook must shift from dreams to discipline, from blame to building, from slogans to systems. Because the more you look up, the more you'll fall. But if you plant your feet, bow your head to work, and dig deep, you'll rise like the banana seller who built a dynasty. The disease psychology of dependency and delusion How a proud people became addicted to excuses and allergic to effort. There's a sickness stalking the soul of our people, not of the body, but of the mind, not of genetics, but of outlook. It is not visible in public speeches or surveys, but it is heard in taverns, whispered in taxi queues, and sung at rallies. It is the psychology of the oppressed who have begun to enjoy the chains. It is a virus of the will, one that kills potential by wrapping it in rage, envy, entitlement, and fantasy. And it must be named mental dependency, generational delusion, emotional infantilism, political brainwashing. This is not an inherited trauma. It is now a chosen condition. Let us dissect it layer by layer. The dependency complex, a craving for handouts, not hustle. This is the root of the rot. Many Black South Africans have been trained politically, economically, emotionally to expect, not create. They expect RDP houses, social grants, affirmative action placements, empowerment without excellence, land without planning, justice without discipline. They believe the world owes them for what happened, instead of believing they owe the future something better. This is not care. It is corrosion. It is the belief that someone else must fix it, fund it, explain it, and deliver it. It is intellectual laziness wrapped in historical grief. The delusion of perpetual victimhood. This is where white monopoly capital becomes a bedtime story, where every successful white or Indian person becomes privileged, but every Black failure becomes victimized. It removes accountability. It removes growth. It is addiction to identity as a victim, and no one who sees themselves as a permanent victim can ever become a builder. Emotional infantilism. It's throwing. Tantrums, not building solutions like children. We throw tantrums when things don't go our way. Like teenagers, we want the car keys, but none of the responsibility. This is why slogans like economic freedom in our lifetime resonate, because they promise adulthood without duty. Class envy and imaginary oppressors. They hate the man with a backy, not the tender fraudster who stole a water pipe. They hate the white supermarket, not the ANC cadre who collapsed the local supply chain. They hate the entrepreneur, not the corrupt official who delayed their license. This is misdirected rage, rooted in emotional illiteracy. It is easier to hate the man with clean shoes than to ask, what did he do to get them? Instead of rising through effort, the masses seek to drag others down with accusation. It is not revolution. It is resentment dressed in political t-shirts, replacing discipline with drama. The average Black youth today idolizes status-loud politics, soft jobs. Discipline is whiteness. Responsibility is judgmental. In this diseased culture, the very medicine is now called poison. Politically induced infantilism. The role of the anklet speak it loud. The ANC has trained the Black mind into helplessness. With every slogan, every social grant, every policy of entitlement, it has crippled initiative and rewarded complaint. A better life for all. Together we can do more. The people shall govern all lives. What they meant was, we will govern. You will clap. We will eat. You will vote. We will fall. You will blame the past. And so the mind of the people has been colonized once again, this time by their own. The anti-builder spirit, suspicion of excellence. Here is the most dangerous symptom of this disease. Success is now suspicious. Who helped you? Must be corruption. You're a front. Why don't you donate to the poor? We are now a culture that punishes those who rise, unless they rise through song, protest, or the ANC. We don't celebrate builders. We cancel them. We call excellence arrogance. We call confidence colonial. We call vision elitist. This is spiritual self-sabotage. The worship of politics over productivity. No other nation chants like us. We sing for leaders. We dance at manifesto launches. We queue in the sun for men who have done nothing but speak. But we don't. Sing for the township baker dance, for the welder who employs 5 people. Celebrate the coder from Kagiso who built an app for taxi. Routes why? Because we have been trained to believe power lies in speeches, not in value creation. This is why our politics are rich, but our streets are poor. Final word, break the spell. This psychology will not heal through motivation. It will only heal through brutal honesty, radical responsibility, a culture-wide return to work, wisdom, and wholeness. Stop looking up. Stop looking out. Start looking within and down at your hands, because only when the black mind returns to earth, to work, to craft, to sweat, to production, will the black nation rise. Until then, we are just a crowd waiting for permission, and that is not revolution. That is slavery. Case studies of everyday titans. Let us slow down. They didn't wait. They built equality. This is where theory steps aside and the builders speak. These are not business people with fancy pitch decks or Harvard certificates. They are street-level visionaries who wake up early, sleep late, and survive by instinct, grit, and the sheer will to create value from nothing. While others chase funding, they chase function. While others wait for change, they become it. They didn't make it under Forbes, but they made it out of poverty with calloused hands, recycled materials, and minds that never stop tweaking, testing, building. Let's meet them. Thandeka, the soap queen of Lusikisiki door-to-door capitalism, built on marula and fire. Thandeka Kwela didn't need a grant. She needed a reason, and it came in the form of a tattered book on indigenous herbs her grandmother handed her one night. With marula oil, goat fat, and wild rosemary, she started crafting soap, not in a lab, but in a shack behind her home. Her branding, word of mouth. Her distribution, foot traffic, her office, a satchel, a smile, and a Friday meeting under a mango tree with 7 other women she trained. No digital catalogs, no product managers, just soap, story, and soul. We're not poor, she says. We're just disconnected from opportunity. Today, her network stretches across 5 villages, and one of her best sellers is a 70-year-old granny who used to beg at the taxi rank. We turned grandmothers into saleswomen, not dependents. Thabo the Tire King of Mabel Payne from Punctures. To power Thabo Mokoena learned the trade under a khaki-shirted Afrikaner in Montana. He didn't inherit money. He inherited a toolbox, a skill, and a vision. He came back to Soshanguve with nothing but a chalkboard sign, a borrowed jack, and a pair of calloused hands. Within weeks, taxis were lining up. Today, 14 employees. A mobile van service, custom tire packages, a waiting area that rivals most suburban fitment centers. The township is rough on tires, he laughs. But that's where I found my fortune. When asked about politics, Thabo shrugs. Politicians scream on TV. I fix tires. That's real power. Andrew the designer from scrap turning waste into wealth in Kwamlanga, Andrew Mabena, isn't a furniture designer. He's a scrap alchemist. Tires become ottomans. Oil drums become kitchen stoves. Pallets become couches. He started with nothing but a grinder, sawdust, and a dream. Today, his backyard is a full-blown workshop. Loud, smoky, and pulsing with productivity. We used to burn tires, he says. Now we build futures with them. No diploma, no degree, just observation, adaptation, and execution. People laughed. Then they ordered. Field 4. Bra welcomed the welder of Zone 4 forging security with fire and bare hands. Welcome Mlanga didn't cry when he got retrenched. He lit a cigarette, picked up his tools, and got to work. He started welding burglar bars from his yard for R250. A gate. Now he's protected over 400 homes in Soshanguve, Winterveld, and Hammenskral. I don't have a business plan. I have repeat customers. He employs 2 young men and says the most important thing he's built isn't metal, it's respect. A man who can feed his kids with his own hands doesn't bow for food. 5. Chidiso the sneaker, surgeon fixing shoes, funding his dreams. Teshidiso Motlabane used to dream of playing soccer. Now he revives sneakers. His business, the shoe mechanic, began with a pair of damaged sneakers and a YouTube tutorial. From there, TikTok videos, WhatsApp orders, Facebook marketing. He funded his LLB degree with custom sneaker cash. Success isn't just money, it's funding your own dream without begging. His sneakers now travel from Randburg to Lesotho and Eswatini, one stitch sole at a time. What these titans teach us, these are not case studies. They are case revolutions. Each of these titans teaches us something the universities forgot. That innovation doesn't need funding. It needs frustration and fire. That enterprise doesn't begin with a logo. It begins with a reason that you don't need to own land to build an empire, that grants create dependence, but grit creates dignity. They are living proof that wealth is not inherited. It's constructed daily, and they remind us of this. At the bottom of the pyramid, there are no safety nets, only wings built from necessity. This is not the informal sector. This is the core economy. The biggest lie repeated in think tanks and government white papers is this: the informal economy must be integrated into the mainstream economy. No, it is the mainstream economy. Don't integrate a heart into the body. The heart is the body. This economy employs more people than most sectors, has faster cash turnover than many formal shops, is more customer sensitive than any retail chain, has better survival instincts than any corporate model. The only reason it's called informal is because those in power don't control it. And what they don't control, they label as fringe. But the grassroots economy is not fringe. It is the foundation. This revolution runs on grit, not grants. Let's say it plainly. The future will not be built by grant recipients. It will be built by grit recipients, those who receive nothing and still create something. The woman who walks to 5 taxi ranks daily selling soap, she has better logistics than half the state's procurement systems. The young man plugging tires and employing 2 friends, he is creating jobs with no HR department, no set of support, no enabling environment. The backyard welder fixing doors in Zone 4, he has been practicing community safety before government spoke of crime stats. This revolution isn't funded. It's fueled by hunger, by hustle, by defiance. And that fuel burns hot because it comes from within. Why elites can't understand it? To understand the grassroots economy, you need to sit in it. You need to be in the taxi, in the queue, in the dust, in the danger, in the deals. But elites don't want dust. They want diagrams. They study theory, not tire. Marx. They quote GDP, not the girl who makes R500 a day selling vet coke. They host panels on poverty, but couldn't survive a day without Wi-Fi. That's why they keep misunderstanding South Africa's true economy. They see a hustle. We see an enterprise. They see informal. We see formidable. They see disorder. We see design, rough, raw, real. Where the revolution is headed, this revolution won't be televised. It will be digitized. TikTok side hustles, WhatsApp stores, solar-powered container shops, township delivery apps, street branding through style, tone, and reputation. This is not the old economy with new tech. This is a new economy with old school hustle. It's people first. Platform second, and it's rising one customer at a time. The call of this chapter: join or be left behind. Corporates who don't understand this movement will lose relevance. Government who can't partner with it will collapse under its own bureaucracy. Universities who ignore it will keep producing paper geniuses who can't survive without grants. But those who tap into this revolution, who listen, learn, respect, and empower the street-level economy will rise with it, because the real economy doesn't wear suits. It wears overalls, dogue, sandals, grease, and intention. The grassroots economic revolution is not the future. It's already here. And it doesn't need your validation. It just needs space to move. Revolution without permission. The new economy doesn't wait. It works. There's a quiet war happening in South Africa. Not with bullets, but with brooms, spanners, and bakkies. It's a war against dependence, against elite gatekeeping, against the lie that freedom must be granted by policy, not claimed through effort. And make no mistake, this is a revolution, not because it's loud, but because it's liberating people without permission. They never signed off on it. The bureaucrats did. Approve it. The economists didn't forecast it. The politicians didn't plan it. The professors didn't publish it. The capitalists didn't fund it. And yet it is rising. It is moving. It is generating real value. In the middle of rolling blackouts, rising fuel prices, collapsing institutions, and moral confusion, a new economy is not emerging. It's already here. The hustle is not illegal. It's unstoppable. You cannot regulate your way out of poverty. You cannot legislate your way into prosperity, but you can hustle. The tire man does not wait for a grant. He plugs punctures, feeds a family. While the herbalist does not ask for permission. She sells balm from the boot of her car. The coder in the township doesn't attend panels. He builds mobile apps that deliver vet coke. The welder doesn't fill out business plans. He works by demand, not documentation. This is revolution without red tape. Commerce without clearance. Progress without parliament. The system can't keep up. The state is too slow. The banks are too rigid. The universities are too out of touch. So the people did what people have always done when the top fails. They built from the bottom. And what they're building is not fragile. It's robust, anti-fragile, resilient by design. This revolution doesn't crash when the rand falls. It doesn't wait for ESCOM. It doesn't mourn interest rates. It adapts. It flexes. It thrives. What they call illegal is often just unregulated. Genius, let's be honest. Most of what government calls illegal trade is just survival innovation that didn't go through a tender process. A man selling boiled eggs at a taxi rank is not a criminal, he's a capitalist. A woman running a container salon without registration is not defiant, she's efficient. The car washer using a bucket is not a violator, he's a water-wise. A business owner. The only thing they're guilty of is outpacing a failed system. They are building a new economy on the ruins of empty promises, and they're doing it faster than any government task team ever could. No more permission slips. From power. The revolution happening now doesn't need ministerial approval. It doesn't want your procurement process. It doesn't care if its logo isn't on a government pamphlet, because it has already proven you can build something strong from nothing if you stop waiting for someone to say, go. This is the creed of the street capitalist. Start before. You're ready. Sell before you register. Build before you brand. Solve before you strategize. The revolution is already funded by hunger, no fancy investors, no startup grants, no celebrity endorsements, just empty stomachs. School fees. Rent due, grandmothers who can't wait, kids who need shoes tomorrow. This isn't theory, it's necessity turned into economy, and that's why it won't stop, because it's not optional. It's oxygen. You are already in the revolution. You just don't know it. If you've ever sold something without a store, created value from scraps, used TikTok, WhatsApp, or a bicycle to deliver a product, fed your family without employment, bartered, hustled, or made a plan when there was none, then you are part of this revolution. You don't need a uniform. You need momentum. You don't need permission. You need action. You don't need handouts. You need hands-on. Final word. Build without apology to every builder in the dust. Keep building. To every seller in the sun, keep selling. To every thinker with dirty shoes and clean intent, keep creating. You are not waiting for transformation. You are the transformation. You are what South Africa has been begging for. Not in speeches, but in street smarts, self-starting courage, and relentless usefulness. They may not understand you. They may not support you, but history will remember you, because you didn't ask, you acted. The People's Prosperity Manifesto Creed for the New Builders of Africa. We, the children of the soil and the street. We who have eaten disappointment and called it dinner. We who were told to wait while they looted. We who were raised on slogans, but found our truth in spaza shops, mechanic yards, and broken dreams stitched back together with hustle. We declare enough. No more waiting. No more blaming. No more chanting like we're still in chains. No more worshiping politicians like they are gods. No more hatred toward those who build. No more excuses hidden behind apartheid, white monopoly capital, or global conspiracies. We are the builders now, not by title, but by choice. Not by education, but by execution. Not by funding, but by force of will. We are not asking for land. We are tilling the ground with our bare hands. We are not asking for justice. We are practicing it daily by serving customers, paying staff, feeding families, and solving problems. We are not activists. We are actors in the arena, in the dust where dreams are forged, not fantasized. We reject the politics of dependency, the religion of victimhood, the glorification of slogans, the curse of envy, the culture of delay, the myth of rescue. We affirm work is sacred. Sweat is strategy. Grit is intelligence. Starting small is strength. Serving others is wealth. Solitude is sanity. Truth is oxygen. Building is resistance. We will build with banana carts, with soap, with tires, with code, with welding, sparks, with herbs, with hands, with WhatsApp, with zero capital but infinite intent. We will raise families, raise standards, raise our heads, but only to speak with dignity, not to beg. We will not wear our struggle like fashion. We will wear our results like armor. This is people's capitalism. This is Ubuntu reborn. This is the Black Renaissance, not in galleries, but in garages, not in tweets, but in transactions, not in ideology, but in impact. We are not the future. We are the foundation. And to every young person reading this in a shack, in a one-room flat, in the backseat of a taxi, at a borrowed computer, you don't need permission. You don't need a plan. You need to start. Start anywhere. Start now. Start with one banana. Because when enough of us stop kneeling, the nation will rise. Let the building begin. What is people's capitalism? Reclaiming capitalism for the common. So capitalism, as we've been taught to understand it, is often equated with Wall Street, billionaires, banks, and bloodless exploitation. In South Africa, it's demonized as white, imperialist, or oppressive. And as a result, it's been thrown away with nothing functional to replace it but begging, policy confusion, and social grants. But what if capitalism wasn't the problem? What if the real problem is that it was stolen from the people? People's capitalism is not the capitalism of billionaires. It is the capitalism of banana sellers, backyard welders, WhatsApp hustlers, and self-taught tailors. It is capitalism without the suit. Capitalism that smells like car grease, soap oil, print ink, and sweat. It's a system of value creation at the bottom, wealth generation without inheritance, entrepreneurship without formal permission, ownership without political gatekeeping. This is not fantasy. It's already happening in taxi ranks, township kitchens, TikTok side hustles, and under mango trees. We are not proposing something new. We are naming what already exists and building it into a movement. Core beliefs of people's capitalism. Work is wealth, not status. Not stock options, but sweat turned into service. The person who delivers bread on foot is part of the economy. Respect them. Grid over grants funding will not save South Africa, but hustle will. Hunger will. Curiosity will. Tenacity will. Ownership by effort. Not skin color, not struggle credentials, but by usefulness, risk-taking, and offering what others want to buy. Small is not inferior. A backyard container is not a shame. It's a launch pad. Every empire starts with one product, one person, one customer. Systems over speeches. We stop listening to promises and start building operating models. Street, logistics, township credit systems, local bartering apps, village-to-village supply chains. Home-based manufacturing. This is a call to codify. In part 2, we take what we've seen and turn it into a working system. How to start with zero capital. How to scale without losing soul. How to train others from the street up. How to turn spaza shops into supply chains. How to use tech to grow rural wealth. How to create a people's business school without a campus. How to rebuild trust economies from ground level. This is not a textbook. It's a toolbox.